It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. Obviously, this was not a friendly territory. So in order to arrest him, we had to ask the Department of War to become involved in this operation. The Department of War went in, they hit anything that was a threat to the agents that were going in to arrest them, and they hit anything that was a threat on the way out, and they hit anything that was a threat to them while they were on the ground. And that was a very limited and targeted operation.
That is President Donald Trump's top diplomat, Marco Rubio, speaking earlier in the day, responding to questions about the legality of yesterday's mission in Venezuela that saw the capture of Nicolás Maduro. Now, Rubio is rejecting criticisms that Congress was not informed. Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha Fatah, and you're watching CBC News Network. We are going to have extensive coverage for you throughout the day on this top story, continuing with some more reaction coming out of Washington. CBC's Katie Nicholson is in the U.S. Capitol tracking the latest.
An awful lot of questions around the operation, whether it was legal and really what happens next, especially within Venezuela, and what is the U.S. going to do? President Trump has said yesterday the U.S. would run the country until there's a proper transition, and he also indicated he wasn't averse to using boots on the ground if it comes to that. And to add to all of the uncertainty, of course, the president also appeared to dismiss the Nobel Prize winning leader of Venezuela's opposition, Maria Corina Machado, saying that he thought it would be very tough for her to be the leader and that she doesn't have the support or respect to step into that role. Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, as you noted, has assumed power in Venezuela, but it isn't clear how or if she's going to play ball with the U.S. Through this transition. We heard this morning from Republican Senator Tom Cotton. He supports Trump's actions. He noted that Rodriguez herself wasn't really recognized as a legitimate or part of the legitimate government. She was Maduro's number two. But he did go on to say this. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
We'll see whether the vice president of Venezuela, who is sanctioned by the United States and many other countries, who is in league and hand-chosen by Maduro, wants to turn over a new leaf. I think we'll see whether or not they're going to let the opposition back into the country and have new elections, which is what the opposition itself wants. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered, but it's a great day that Nicolás Maduro, an illegitimate communist dictator and indicted drug trafficker, is no longer in charge of Venezuela.
Really, uncertainty is the driving theme throughout the morning. There are some Republicans who identify as part of that America First movement. They've been voicing their concerns about U.S. involvement in whatever transpires next in Venezuela. I think Representatives Thomas Massie, who's a notable thorn in Trump's side of late, and former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that, this is not what they signed up for, accusing the president of breaking his word on avoiding foreign entanglement, something he had campaigned on the campaign trail. Some Democrats accusing the administration of misleading them about its intentions in Venezuela in the fall when they were asked about regime change. And they've called this action reckless over the weekend. Democratic leadership critical, but careful to tread a line. A couple of the leaders noted that, Maduro was an oppressive dictator, but insists that the president has to follow the Constitution. That meaning that their argument that this had to have gone through, this entire operation had to go through Congress before it was executed, and they're arguing that it is illegal because it was not. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy this morning questioned the legal underpinning here of the president's actions and whether Venezuela constituted an imminent threat to the U.S. or U.S. personnel. The idea being under Article 2 that the president could, if there was an imminent threat to the U.S., make this type of a decision. Chris Murphy saying he's not buying that. Here's Senator Chris Murphy.
Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. They're not threatening to invade us. There is no terrorist group like Al-Qaeda operating there that has plans to attack the United States. To the extent that you care about the drug trade, yes, they produce drugs, but those drugs go to Europe. Fentanyl is the drug that's killing Americans. That's not coming from Venezuela.
And Natasha, there have been calls for a proper congressional briefing by the administration, more criticism likely to mount, and notably, some Democrats have even called for the president to be impeached over going over Congress's head. What we heard from Trump yesterday as a justification of not taking this to Congress is that Congress leaks. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio this morning also argued that Congress didn't need to authorize this action because it was a law enforcement operation and not an invasion.